Today we are going to jump into CompanyCam on mobile. Um, Before we get started with our agenda, actually after our agenda, we'll go over a new feature. So our agenda for CompanyCam on mobile today is we're going to start with how to work offline in CompanyCam, creating your projects in the mobile app, annotating and adding descriptions to your photos. Then we will jump into taking before and after photos, organizing in your project with tags, mentions, and comments. We'll go into sharing photos outside of your CompanyCam account after that. And then we'll go into how to use the checklist, finding your checklist templates, and then using tasks in CompanyCam as well. We're going to wrap up with adding documents in CompanyCam. Before we get started with that, I do want to jump into a new feature highlight, which is translations. Now in CompanyCam, in the comments, so the project conversations, comments, and then we've got some more areas coming soon. If I leave a comment in English in the project conversation, and one of my team members has their phone settings set to Spanish, they will see the comment in Spanish because their phone is set to Spanish. They will have a button where they can see the original of that message, but it's going to be an easy way for your team to communicate in the language, seeing messages in the language that is set on their phone. We do have this coming to more areas of CompanyCam soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But right now it is going to be in the project conversations and photo comments. So we'll go ahead and dive in here with our agenda for today. We are focusing on the mobile app in CompanyCam. So I want to do a quick overview. When you get logged in on the mobile app, this is going to be your home screen. I've got my project section at the top here, jump back in, and my team. This page is customizable for each user on the account. So if I scroll to the bottom here, you're going to see a couple of really helpful buttons. Edit home screen is where we can move these items around. Chat with support is where you can reach out to our in-house support team here. During the week, they respond within 3 minutes. We've got a really great support team if you and your team have questions while working in CompanyCam. If we do need to edit this home screen, hit that button. You'll see the options available to have on your home screen. You can check and uncheck these items as you wish. You can move them around by pressing and dragging those dots on the right side. One thing I recommend is keeping those projects or the nearby projects at the top of your screen here. That way, when you're using the mobile app on site, any of those nearby projects would be the first thing you see, so you can see if that job exists already and you can open it up and begin working in it. This will save automatically, so we can just X out at the top and those changes will be saved. Quick overview of the navigation at the bottom. We've got our home button on the bottom left. Next to that, we've got our company feed. This is going to show you a few different sections here at the top. So photos is all of your photos across all of your projects here. Projects and company feed is everything that your team has created and is working on. These are organized based on what's been worked on most recently. So you can see my colleague Bree was taking photos in this project 40 minutes ago. So this project was bumped up to the top of the list here. You can also filter by reports in your company account here. Back to the bottom, we've got that camera button here. With CompanyCam organization, our basic form of organization is the project. So if you are starting to take photos, it will always prompt you to either open an existing project or create a new project. When we hit that camera button, it gives us some different filter options at the top here to find a project we're looking for. We also have the ability to hit new project at the bottom here. Main things I want to point out on this screen would be our offline option. This is going to allow you to see up to 60 projects in your account, starred, assigned, and recent projects. So if you have a job, you know you're going to be in an area with poor cell service, no Wi-Fi. I do recommend starring that project before you go out on site. It will pull it into this list, so you can pull this open, select that project, and take your photos in CompanyCam. When you are done, it will indicate that those photos are waiting to upload. On the main screen at the top, it will say waiting, I believe it says like items waiting to upload, maybe the number of photos waiting to upload, and it gives you kind of a number here. When you get connected to better cell service or Wi-Fi, those will begin to upload automatically. Biggest thing to note with offline mode is while you can take those photos in the projects and you can see them on your end, they are waiting to upload to the cloud, so the rest of the team won't be able to see them until they have a chance to do that. You want to make sure you do not hard close out of the CompanyCam app or you will lose those photos. So I could go to another app in my phone. You just want to make sure you're not swiping up to close CompanyCam. You would lose those photos that are waiting to upload. Other thing I want to show you here is the map option. I think this is a great feature if you're looking for projects in a certain area. You can kind of pinch to zoom in and out on your screen here, see the projects there. When you click on that, like 10 projects here at our home office, I can scroll through to see those and select the one I need to start taking my photos. Jumping back here, want to finish up the navigation at the bottom. We've got our bell icon at the bottom right. This is your notification center. We'll dive into this a little bit more when it comes to communicating with your team. You'll see any new notifications have that red dot on the right side. And then the final thing is your user button at the bottom right. This shows photos you have taken, projects you've worked on, and reports you've created. Main thing I want to point out here is that settings wheel at the top right. This is a great place to find your settings, your camera location, notification preferences. You can also go here to view our help center or chat with support as well. Any questions on offline mode or navigating through CompanyCam? Okay, we will keep moving here. I do want to jump into creating a project. So there's a couple different ways to do that. As you can see with our projects section at the top, we have a plus project button to create a new project. Biggest thing to note with this button specifically is this allows you to create a project whether you are on site or not, and it won't prompt you to take photos right away. It will allow you to, but I could create jobs ahead of time from this button. It will pin your current location. I can hit confirm at the bottom here, or I could type in an address at the top if I'm creating this for a different location. Once I hit confirm, you'll be able to name that project, edit the address, maybe add a unit number, whatever you need to do there, and then hit create on the project. Project name is up to you and your team. So you will want to discuss internally how you're going to name those projects so your team can easily search for them. Other way of creating projects I want to point out is the camera button at the bottom here. You'll see that new project button here. Biggest difference here is when I confirm our location here and I create this project, rather than creating this, it does prompt me to start taking photos right away. So this is a great way to do it. If you are on site, you need to create the job and get going with those photos right away. Once that project is created, you'll have all of that information in CompanyCam. I'm going to open an existing project so we can kind of review what that looks like. With your project here, you've got your project name at the top and address. You have an area for notes in that project. This is a great spot. Maybe there's a gate code that your team needs access to. You could add that in the notes section. Below that, you're going to see the users in your account who have worked on this project or been assigned to the project. Payments is below that. We won't dive into that today, but payments is a way of requesting payment from your customers through CompanyCam. Below that, we've got a couple features here. Contact is going to be a great spot to put your client's contact information. So if your team needs to reach out to them, they've got that tied to the project here, easy to see in one spot. Next thing I want to cover is the collaborators. We'll briefly go over this here, but collaborators is a way of inviting subs or other companies to work with you in CompanyCam. When you invite a collaborator, you can send this link to them. The link does expire after 7 days, so if they don't follow that link within those 7 days, you'll need to send them a new link. Once you have sent this and they accept the collaboration, they will be prompted, if they do not already have a CompanyCam account, to set up an account. They can stay on the free version of CompanyCam. That's completely up to them. If they choose to, if they accept that collaboration, what they are able to see in the project is that project information at the top, name and address there. They can see the photos you have taken. They can take photos that will be mixed in with your project photos here. And then the final thing they can see is the chat bubble at the bottom here, so our project conversation. It's a great way to work with subs or other folks you need taking photos that you may need to communicate with. You can invite them to collaborate on multiple jobs. Just know that when you send out that collaboration invite is project specific. Jumping into the rest of kind of the project layout here, we've got our photos. You can click that photo stack on the right to see all of the images in timeline order. We've got some additional features we'll jump into below that. And then I want to go over this blue oval at the bottom of our screen. The plus sign is a great way to add new things to our project, whether we're uploading photos, scanning a document, uploading a document, things like that. Camera button is going to allow you to start taking those pictures, and then that chat bubble we'll dive into a little bit more, but that's great for communicating in CompanyCam. So I want to start with photo capture, marking up those photos and adding descriptions. Any questions so far on project layout? Okay, awesome. So in opening our camera here, my phone is laying flat on the desk. I just want to show you a couple things when our camera screen opens. At the very bottom, you're going to see a few different settings here. It automatically opens to photo. You'll see on the right, I can switch over to video, or if you are on our premium and elite tiers, you can switch over to dual video as well. Other option on the left side is going to be scan, where you can scan your documents in. When we're in photo here, you'll see a couple things at the top. You've got your settings wheel, so you can change your camera settings and preferences here. When you click on that, a couple things I want to point out is you can add the latitude and longitude. It will be stamped in the bottom right corner of the photos that you take. You can also turn on a date and time stamp. When these are turned on, they will be light blue, and you'll see those items kind of floating on the top corner of your screen here as you take photos. So as I begin taking photos here, when I capture a photo, you're going to see this box pop up. It says description with a microphone, a keyboard, and then our edit button. The description with the microphone is going to allow me to add a description to this specific photo. It's going to be talk to text, so it's taking what I'm saying and adding it to that specific photo. Hit done, can take my next photo and hit description and keep adding my descriptions. The keyboard will let me type my notes in if I have a description I'd like to add there. And then that wavy line is our edit tool. So if I click on that, it will pause on the photo that I just took. Edit buttons are along the right side of the screen here. We'll do a quick review of what these are, but I do recommend take some photos, play around with these features. It's a great way to learn these annotations. You can change the line width at the very top there and the color that you're drawing with. That wavy line is more of a free draw option, so I can draw what I need to here. Below that, you can add points to a photo and it will add lines between them here. You'll see when I add items like this, we get a box with a T, a double rectangle, and the trash can. The T will allow me to add text. Double rectangle allows me to duplicate that item. Trash can will delete it. So I can hit that T here. Maybe I took a quick measurement, so I want to jot that down here. I can hit save and it will add that. Say I want to change the color because it's too hard to see. I can do that, and then I'll hit that green check at the top to save that on the image. Below that line, or that points with the line there, you can add an arrow, you can add a circle here. When you're adding these items, you will see the white dots on them. The white dot in the center allows me to move it around when I press and drag. The one on the outside allows me to resize this. Below that, we can add a rectangle. I could add a text box on its own to this image. That clock icon is to add the date and time. Now you'll see the date and time in the bottom right corner because I had it turned on in my camera settings. If you forgot to turn that on and you want to add it later, you could always stamp that on. It will show the date and time that that photo was taken. Below that, you have that sticker icon. This is going to be great if you want to add a quick indicator to a photo for your team, or if you're on our premium or elite tiers, that very first sticker would actually be your company logo. So I can click on that logo here, resize this as I need it, and add it to photos that I maybe want to share on Facebook, for instance. Below that, we've got our classics of rotating that image, cropping the image, and adjusting the lighting there. When you are done, you just hit save and you can continue taking photos now. So we can mark up those photos as we go. I'm going to hit done at the bottom right here. I want to show you where those descriptions will live on the photos. So if I click my photo stack here, any photos that have a description is indicated by that 3-line icon in the bottom corner. When I open this photo, below my name and the date and time, you'll see that description. I can click into this. Think of this as like an internal caption on the photo that your team will be able to see. I could edit these notes or add more to it. If you have a photo that does not have a description, you'll just see that add a description at the bottom. So you can click there to add your notes once again. If you forgot to add notes while you were taking the photos and you hit add description, your keyboard, I'm on an iPhone, so my keyboard here gives me a microphone option at the bottom, so I could still do that talk to text option. The annotations on the photo will show in the thumbnail, and then when you open that image, you can see them full screen. If you forgot to mark up a photo while you were taking pictures here, at the very bottom near the center, you've got that same edit button. It's that wavy line. So this would allow me to open the edit tools on this photo I've already taken to mark that up. Any questions on descriptions and annotations?
Did you show how to add just a text box to a photo outside of adding the text to the annotation?
Yeah, so if you're wanting that text on the image itself, I've got my photo pulled up here. Bottom center, you've got that edit button, so it's that wavy line. When I click on this, the different edit tools are on the right. The one with the T is going to allow you to add text box. And there's a few different settings here if I want to add just text, if I want to add measurements here. So I could add text here, add a quick note and hit save. Again, on this, you'll see these white dots. If you press and drag these allow you to resize. So I could add this text, drop it on my photo where I need it, and then hit save there. If you're wanting more of a description, I would recommend that description box at the bottom, more for those internal notes. But that T is great for adding a quick note on the photo. Moving forward, I do want to jump into taking before and after photos in CompanyCam. So if you have taken a photo that you're revisiting the site 2 weeks later, everything's done, you're taking final photos, and you want a side by side to share on social media, maybe share with your customer, I recommend opening that photo full screen. So open your before photo, such as this one. I'll hit those three dots at the bottom right. You'll see in these options here, I can hit take after photo. It's the third from the top. When I select that, it's going to give me kind of a transparent overlay of my original photo here. One thing I do want to point out is at the very bottom, I can switch that to hide the original image, or my preference is switching over to outline. I like those green outlines that it shows. So then I can use that to line up my original photo. I can take a picture here, and now it will show me those photos side by side. Along the bottom, you've got all your different layout options here. Any of them with this small square is going to be your company logo. So I can go through, find the layout that I like, and hit save at the top right. One thing to note with these layouts is as your team uses them more and more, the ones you use the most get bumped to the front of this list. So if you have a layout you really like and your team keeps using it, you'll see it kind of moved up here. I can hit save at the top right. It saves this as a combined image here. I can hit share on that. But if I go back to my project, you'll see I still have that original photo. I have that after photo and then that combined before and after image there as well. If you need to make a before and after of two existing photos in your CompanyCam account, you can go to the create/share at the top left when you're looking at your project photos. You'll see create before and after photo at the top. It will prompt you to select your before photo. So I'm going to go back and select a before photo here. It'll open it full screen so I can verify here. I'll hit choose. Then I'm going to go through my existing photos and I'm going to select an after photo. So I'll select my after. I will hit choose here. And then it's going to put those side by side for me so I can see them. Again, I can pick my layout. I could swap those photos if I need to. Edit below each of those images allows me to crop them further if I need to. And then again, I'll just hit save at the top right. So you can do that with existing photos as well. Any questions on before and afters? Okay. So I do want to jump into a little bit of organizing in CompanyCam. We're going to briefly cover labels, but we're also going to mainly focus on tags. You may have seen on our project here, we've got labels at the top of our project screen. This is a great way of helping search for and filter for your jobs. Think of these as a little bit more high level, focusing on the job itself. So when I'm in the project, if you do not have any labels on this job, you'll see the labels option here. When those labels are added, they get bumped to the top, and then you can click on them if you need to edit. Good example of how these can be used is maybe you typically do 4 different types of roofs. So you want one that says shingle, you want one that says metal, you want one that says tile. You could create 3 different labels. We'll go with three. We'll create 3 different labels here, and then you can add those to the project. So if your sales team is searching for an example job to show someone of, here's a roof, a metal roof that we've done before, they could filter those jobs by the labels to find what they need. Tags are going to be a little bit more in depth. So tags are on the photo level. You can tag photos as you take them or after the fact. This is going to be a way of searching through those photos. So rather than me scrolling through 185 photos, you'll see on some of these, they've got this tag icon. With the tags, I could hit the filter here at the top right, filter by my tags, such as before and after, which gets automatically added to your before and after photos. I hit save, and I can see those images. Tags can be added as we take our photos. So if I open my camera up here, set my phone down for just a second, you're going to see that tag icon at the top center of your screen. When you select this, you will see at the very top tags that have been used on that project and then everything below that. You can search for tags at the top here. So if I want to search for plant, I'll see the two existing here. If you are an admin or manager, you could create a new tag if that tag does not exist. If you are a standard or restricted user, you will only be able to use existing tags. So if you see something that's missing, talk to the admins and managers on your team. They can create that for you. I could select the tag that I need and hit save. You'll see this kind of floating on the bottom of my screen now. So when I take these pictures, they will be tagged plants. I can hit done here. And when I go to filter for these photos, again, hit all the photo stack there, I'll hit filter at the top, and then I can filter by those tags. If you forgot to add the tags as you took photos, you have a couple ways to do it. You can either open a photo full screen. You'll see that tag icon at the bottom left. So you can tag an individual photo. If you'd like to tag a group of photos just based on the thumbnails here, you can hit that select at the top near the center. This is going to let me select multiple images. You can hit those three dots at the bottom right. Three dots in CompanyCam is your menu option. So I'll click those three dots. I can hit tag here. I'm going to add a tag of plants, and then we'll hit save. That will be added to all of those photos for me now. Now, the really nice thing about tags is when I am in the project, I can filter for those photos within that specific project. You can also filter for those tags across all of your photos in your CompanyCam account. So if I go back to my company feed, so that stack of photos here, I'm on the photo screen and I can hit filter. This allows me to filter through all photos in all of my jobs. So I can find exactly what I want. Let's see. We're going to filter for before photos here and I'll hit save. This narrows it down to just those before photos. You can see photos my colleague Bree took in a different project earlier today, photos Tessa took in a different project. So really a great way of tagging maybe specific items, specific tools that you're using so you can see where they are, where they've been used, what's going on. Any questions on tags and labels? Okay. I'm going to jump into another level of organizing in CompanyCam, which is communicating with your team. In the projects themselves, you have the ability to leave comments. So bottom right corner of our screen in that blue oval is the chat bubble. Think of this as a group message that is tied to this specific project. No more searching through your phone to see who was in that group message, what did we discuss, what was decided. You can have those conversations tied to the project here, so then you can reference back to those notes. When you leave a comment, you'll see the at mention here. You can at mention members of your team so they get a notification about this, so they know you're reaching out to them specifically. So if I mention my colleague Bree, I will also mention myself here. So you can mention multiple people. I'll leave a quick comment here and I can post this. I will get a notification across the top of my screen, as would Bree. So then when we are, maybe our phone's on the lock screen in our pocket, we get this notification. It will come in on your lock screen there. And just like the rest of the apps on your phone, you'd see that circle in the top corner of the app that says how many notifications. When you open CompanyCam, that bell icon is where you're going to go. Any new notifications have a red dot. If I click on this one, it pulls me directly to the conversation. And if I X out of the conversation, I'm on the job that it's tied to already. So you can see Bree responded to me here. So I got this notification. There's her response. So again, like a group message that is tied to the project. If you want to get even more specific with it, you can go into a specific photo. You'll also see the comment bubble at the bottom left here. So you could actually leave a comment on this image, and when they open that notification, it would pull them directly to this photo. So say you are circling and leaving a note for someone, you can at mention them so then they see it right away. Any questions on mentions, comment? Perfect. We are going to jump into a couple options of sharing photos really quick. So got a few different ways to do this. In our project, when we click that photo stack so we can view all of our images, you'll see that create/share at the top left. Now, just below that create before and after photo, we have a few different share options. Share gallery of selected photos is going to allow you to pick the photos in this project that you'd like to share out with a link. Share gallery of all photos will be all photos in this project up to this point, again with a link you can share out. Share project timeline is going to be a live link to this project. So as your team continues to take photos, if you send this to a customer and they refresh this 3 days down the road, they would see new photos that have been taken in that time frame. As an example today, we're going to do share gallery of selected photos. So I'll jump in here, select a couple images, and you'll see that these photos are tagged. I'll grab a couple that have descriptions as well. Tags and descriptions are not going to be shared when you share this link. It is just the photos. I'll hit the arrow at the bottom right where it says 9 selected there. It is going to ask if I want to include who, when, and where those photos were taken. You can click yes or no here. I'll go with yes. This is pulling up iPhone sharing options, so this may look slightly different if you are on an Android phone. Should be pretty similar. I could send this out in a text. I could send this out via social media. I'm going to open this in Chrome so you can see what this looks like when your client opens this. So when they open it, they would see your company logo at the top. They've got the photos that you've selected. I hit yes on the who, when, and where, so that information is below each photo. They can download these images and scroll through them. They cannot edit, delete, or change anything. They're just viewing photos here. We do have a couple other options on sharing photos out if you do want to include those tags or descriptions here. So if I go back into my project here, you're going to see a couple different things here, pages and reports. We're going to briefly go over both of them today. So we'll start with reports. Reports is a really easy way of gathering the photos that you want with descriptions in a really organized format and sharing it out as a link or as a PDF. When I hit this plus report, I can either create a new report or use a template if you are on the premium or elite tiers of CompanyCam. For time today, I'm going to use a template. Templates pull in essentially the cover page settings and your sections. So I am going to select a template here, maybe for before and after. If I click cover page, you'll see the settings here that are turned on. I can turn items off if I'd like to. I can also add a cover photo. Once I've got that added, I'll hit done. Now I will dive into our sections here. So in this before or this section 1, I'm going to click here. I can change that section title by actually clicking on it and edit this as I would like to. We'll change this to before. Section summary, I can add any additional notes. And then I'm just going to hit add or take photos. I'm going to add photos from my project here. I'm going to make sure we grab a couple with tags on them. And then I will also select a few with descriptions here. So sorry for the scroll to get to these. We'll select a few with descriptions. I'm going to hit add photos in the top right. It's going to drop these in to our report. Now you'll see there's an area that says add a description. You could type new notes in here, or if we hit the 3 dots in the top right, you can hit that load all photo descriptions. Any of these that had descriptions, it will add those notes for you. I can click in with these descriptions and continue to edit or add more notes here if I'd like to. I'll hit that back arrow at the top. I could go to my next section and add more photos. When you are done editing this, you can hit view report in the top right. It will open a digital version of this PDF, so I can view this here. Then you'll see that option to download PDF at the top, so I can share this out with my client. We've got our cover page here. We've got our section page with additional notes, and then we've got our photos with descriptions below them. You'll also see who took the photo, the date and time, project it was taken in, and if there were tags on that photo, you'd see those tags as well. You can turn those on and off in the report settings. Other thing I want to dive into here is pages. So we'll kind of briefly go over pages as well. Pages is going to be similar to reports. You can add your photos, you can add your notes. It's just going to be a little bit of a different layout. So I'm not going to create a page today. I want to point this out to you guys so you can kind of see how it looks. When you hit plus page, there's going to be different templates you could use. You could create a blank page. You've also got the ability to use some AI features if you are on the premium or elite tiers of CompanyCam. These will pull in your photos with descriptions. The AI will summarize what those descriptions say and then give you a page with those notes and photos for you. So another way of sharing, I do recommend testing this out. If you are on the pro tier of CompanyCam and you want to try this, The AI options do allow you to use up to 10 trials in the pro tier. So you can kind of test that and see if it's something you're interested in. Any questions on sharing? Okay, seems like we're getting everything answered in the Q&A here. So we are going to keep moving. We're going to go over checklists really quick. So checklists are going to be really helpful for standardizing your process in CompanyCam. When you are in a project, you'll see with some of our other features down by pages and reports, we've got checklists and we've got tasks. Checklists are a little bit more in depth. Checklists will allow your admins and managers to create templates that you can then pull into a project and follow step by step. So if your team has created checklist templates they want you to use, you'd start by going to the project, go to the checklist tab, hit that plus checklist, use a template here, and then you'd be able to select the template that you need. I'm going to select a template that I know we'll use on this job. It will pull it in for me, tie it to this project, and then I can begin working in this. It may take just a second as it's pulling in all of the field items for this checklist. Once this is pulled in here, you'll see that you can have multiple checklists on a job. So I want to start by pointing that out. I'll open an existing one that's been loaded here. So in the checklist, you'll have different what we call fields that you can complete. If there are questions, you will need to answer those before you can complete an item. If it says photos are required, you will either need to hit that plus sign to add existing photos that you've taken, or hit that camera button to take new photos to add to this. So I'm going to drop in a couple photos here. Once we've got those added, I want to make sure I answer my questions here. I'll hit save, and now I can check this item off. It will show my name and the date and time that this was completed. So again, checklists are really helpful when it comes to standard processes. This whole checklist can also be exported as a PDF by hitting those three dots in the top right and selecting that option about halfway down to export to PDF. The other thing I want to point out to you here is tasks in CompanyCam. They are different. Checklists are a little bit more in depth. They require photos to be taken, questions to be answered, can be saved as a PDF. Tasks are a little bit more simplified. Think of these as your one-off items that need to get done, more for internal communication. These can be created from a photo or just in the task section here. So if I open a photo at the bottom center, you'll see that check mark button. I could create a task that is tied to this photo and it would pull it to our task list here. If you're an admin or manager, you can also assign a user to this task by clicking this button here. Once you have created that, it will be listed in the task list here. When you check these items off, it moves them to the bottom of the list and it shows that user's name and the date and time that that was completed. So these are a little bit more simplified, just internal for CompanyCam. Checklists could be shared externally if need be. Any questions on checklists versus tasks?
No.
Okay, I think we're getting everything answered in the Q&A still. So the last thing on our agenda today is documents in CompanyCam. So I briefly want to go over here in our project. When we scroll over in the different options of what's available in the project, you'll see documents at the very end. If we click that documents tab, you will see the option for plus document there. That means you could upload or scan a document from this screen. So if you have a document on your phone that you want to add in, you can do that. If you would like to scan, you can either hit scan from here, or if I have my camera open, you'll see scan on the bottom left. I can switch to that. If I hover over a receipt, for example, here, it will remove the background, save just this receipt for me. I can hit save. Maybe I want to do the back of this receipt now, so I could scan this in. It's going to remove the background here and allow me to hit save on this receipt. It allows you to do multiple pages as you scan this document in. So you can scan in a multi-page change order, scan in any receipts you want digitized. Once you scan those in, if you click the document name here, you can change that. When you are done, just hit Save PDF on the right side. If I hit Go to Documents, you'll see those. All documents are saved as PDFs and they are saved separate from your photos, so they're a little bit easier to find here. I could open this, see that receipt I just scanned in. If you are on the elite tier of CompanyCam, you'll see that option to fill and sign at the bottom. So if you need signatures from somebody, you can hit that fill and sign. They can sign that on site. That is the basics of our scanning in here. and uploading documents. That's everything we had on the agenda for today. So I do want to see if there are any final questions we want to answer live.
Got one, just going back to adding settings to your photos for Greg, can you show us how to add that latitude, longitude,
Yeah.
to our photos again?
Absolutely. So there's a couple ways to do this, Greg. If you want to add latitude and longitude or the date and time stamp to your photos, easy way when you first get into CompanyCam, hit your user icon at the bottom right, hit your settings wheel at the top here, and under your camera preferences right at the top, you'll be able to see all of your camera settings here. So I've got my date and time stamp turned on. I could turn on those GPS coordinates, would be your latitude and longitude here. When I turn this on, it will remain on for all of the projects for me as a user. If you want to turn this on and off as you are taking photos, I'll jump into a project here. And if I open my camera button, again, my phone's flat on my desk, so you're just seeing a black screen. But in the top right, when you have your camera open, you'll still see that settings wheel. You can also go in here as you're taking photos to turn that on and off. When they are light blue, it means they're turned on. So if I need to turn this off, I can, and it would remove it. They will be floating at the top of the screen here as you take photos. So I can take a quick photo here, hit done. They will permanently stamp in the bottom right corner of this photo. So if I open this image here, you'll see my date and time stamp and my latitude longitude there. Again, this is specific for each user. So if you'd like your team to do this, I do recommend walking through with them, having them turn those settings on. Any other questions?
You just show one more time how to filter photos by tag and description.
Yeah.
Tags.
Yep. So if you are looking to filter your photos by tags within a project, you'll start by opening that project, hit the photo stack on the right side here so you can see everything. You're going to hit that filter in the top right. You'll see a few different filter options, whether it's how you're seeing those, whether it's photos, videos, date. You'll hit tags at the middle there. It's only going to show the tags that have been used on this project. So I'm going to select plants. You do have an or and option at the top here. So if I want to select multiple, I could search by multiple. So let's do before or plants. So anything with either of these tags will appear. I'll hit save. It's going to narrow it down to just those photos for me. Any other questions?
Can you go through adding tags after
Yeah.
photos are taken again?
Absolutely. So we're going to review how to add tags after photos have been taken. So if I am looking at my project, once again, we're going to hit that photo stack on the right side so we can see all of our images. If you want to add it to one individual photo, I recommend opening that photo, hit the tag button. It's near the bottom left here, and I could add that tag to this specific photo. If you can tell from your thumbnails what tags need to be added to what photos, I would say the easiest way to do this on multiple images would be hit select at the very top. Then you can click on the photos. Once I've selected what I need, I hit those three dots at the bottom right. I'll hit tag, it's the very top option here. And then I can select from my existing tags. So I'm going to go in and I could also search at the top here. We're going to tag keyboard in this one. And I will hit save so we can add those tags to those specific photos. Any other questions?
Currently, I don't know if you missed this one or if we did this one already. Can you show how to filter by tags again? Maybe you just did that.
We just did.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Just want to make
Yep.
sure that was one that we had done.
Nope, you're good.
Let's see here. And we're getting everything else answered in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
It looks like we have a few more questions in the Q&A that we are getting answered. So our team will keep working on those. I do want to go over a couple things with you guys. We do have some additional resources I want to make sure to share. If you guys have questions following today's class, biggest thing I recommend is reaching out to our support team. You can do it from that button on your home screen in the app or send an email to support@companycam.com. All of this information on this slide is being dropped in the chat section of Zoom here. So you'll have these links. If you have team members who are Spanish speaking and you want additional training resources for them, we have all of our help website is in Spanish as well. That link will be in the chat. We do have this class in Spanish as well, so we will send that. You'll see it on our classes page. If you would like to read any additional articles with questions, maybe you want to see some how-tos with some screenshots of what we went through today, go to help.companycam.com. /EN would be in English, /ES will be in Spanish for you. If you would like to see additional classes, the recording of today's class, previous classes, go to companycam.com/classes. This is also where you can go to register for upcoming classes. We also have a help center on YouTube that will be linked in the chat as well. There's tons of little training videos there. It's a great resource if your team would like to watch a quick video. If you have specific questions for you and your team, reach out to your customer success manager. We can set up a one-on-one training for you. If you don't know who your customer success manager is, email success@companycam.com. We'd be happy to get you linked to them.